Hello, everyone. EJ Schultz here, news editor at Ad Age, and welcome to our newest edition of Purpose Hits and Misses. We have another packed show for you today with plans to grade ads from Anthropic, Polaroid, and a few others. And to help me do this, I'm going to welcome our regular guest and expert, Thomas Kolster, who is the founder and creative director of Copenhagen-based Goodvertising Agency, which advises companies and organizations on how to turn environmental, societal, and health risks into market opportunities. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you, EJ. And maybe just to remind, I'm really not the expert. You guys are the experts. So you can also share what you kind of think about the stuff that we're seeing. Isn't that right, EJ?
That's right. And for those keeping score, this is our 31st episode in various formats. So if this were a sitcom, we may have made it to our third or fourth season by now.
True.
But let's get started. We're going to begin with Anthropic, brand new ad from the AI company, which takes on some of the fears around AI. And this is the latest installment of its Keep Thinking campaign, and it comes from Mother London. So let's take a look at this one, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Can AI be trusted?
Who's going to hit the brakes if we need to?
How do we really ensure that what we're aiming to achieve really does benefit the majority of people?
If it ends up taking like almost all the jobs, then what does it mean to work?
Well, wait a minute. Why do we have to have this stuff? If a machine can pretend to care better than I can actually care, how do we draw the line there?
If we all had a voice in it, then I feel like it would be better.
Could AI help people stop feeling misunderstood?
Could AI help me build more connections in the community?
Can AI help me be a better teacher, a better mom?
Maybe it'll cure some great things,
Things that we're not even at the cusp of understanding yet.
Will it create a group of people that ask more questions?
What if we started to be more human again?
We don't want to lose the most beautiful parts of life.
So to me, Thomas, the Claude versus ChatGPT is one of the most interesting marketing stories going right now. It's kind of the modern day version of Coke versus Pepsi, in my opinion. I mean, both companies within the last, 6, 12 months have really poured a lot more into consumer advertising. So I'm curious to get your take on this one. Like, does it do its job? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, there's a lot of investment going into this space, and maybe that analogy with Coke and Pepsi is very apt for this. There's something about this that connected with me for a number of reasons, and I think the first thing is kind of it feels a little bit more self-critical and honest, which I always think is a good thing when you need to talk about these quite difficult societal topics. It is not to leave the criticism out, but shine a light on that criticism to say this is not just all good. There's a lot of challenges around AI, and it's much better when a brand talks about these challenges, and whether that is in AI or whether that is around plastics or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But tackling that topic with honesty, I think works well. And the way they deliver it, I mean, honestly, it has this editorial vibe to it, kind of like New York Times. These still photos that kind of feel quite remote from, I think, what most of us sort of hate when we look at AI, where there's these sort of images that look surreal, that Dali has taken drugs his whole life, and that's most of what we see from AI. So it comes across as quite authentic, and I think it comes across as something quite far away from what chat is doing, which kind of seems more about sort of utility. So I like the self-critical thing. I mean, a campaign that comes to mind from some years ago was actually when, I mean, this is probably 10, 15 years ago, when Domino's did their Pepsi refresh. It's the same thing. Our pizza tastes like cardboard. Let's be honest about that. But what can we do now to improve? So I'm excited about this little fist fight between. Chad
when I found out you picked this one for this show, I knew you were going to like this one because it speaks to what you're always talking about, which is that honesty and the ability to be a little self-critical, right? But midway through the ad, they pivot, right, and talk more positive. So there's that narrative arc to this, and I think just visually, it's nicely done with the little piano music or whatever it is behind it.
Yeah, I think people still get that. I mean, we know what a commercial is, but I mean, 99% of brands just doesn't have the balls to do this stuff and be a little bit self-critical.
Yeah.
And I think this whole, space is pivoting, and I think this is quite a nice way of seeming quite authentic about it. So I'm excited to see what folks out there thinking,
And I think it fits into their kind of larger brand positioning, even in their comm strategy, right? I mean, you saw what happened earlier this year with their kind of fight with the Trump administration. They're trying to be the brand that, I'm not saying this is true or not, but the image they're trying to put out is the one that's a little more responsible, trying to be upfront about the concerns around AI. So this ad, I feel like, plays into that, and is kind of part of the bigger brand kind of architecture they're trying to build. But again, I'd be curious what our audience has to say about this one. And as people think about that, we can move on to the next ad. We're going to go to London for this one. It comes from the NHS Blood and Transport Service, which provides blood and transportation services for the UK's National Health Service. This is an outdoor effort, so we can put it on the screen. It comes from Avast London, and what it does is they've removed the red from a lot of famous logos in Britain, and the goal is to raise awareness of the shortage of blood used to treat sickle cell patients. Little gimmicky. Does this work for you, Thomas, or not?
Oh, I'm really just tired of ads like these. They seem very much like ads from the 90s, and like most things from the 90s, we don't need to bring them back. I think the challenge, because this is an important topic, right? Blood donation, it's important. But the bigger question is, what do they really want to achieve? It's not that people don't know that they can donate blood. I think we're all very, very well aware of that. The bigger thing is, why aren't we? And I think that would have been much more effective to tap into that. Maybe I'm afraid of needles. Maybe I don't have time. Maybe I don't understand what's going to happen with my blood. Am I afraid with my blood landing in the wrong hands? And so tackling some of these real barriers for why people might be a blood donor is much more effective. So for me, unfortunately, it's a gimmick, and it's when advertising does what it's worst at. It creates awareness, but it doesn't actually drive behavior change.
Good point. We'll see if anyone out there disagrees with you. Feel free to take on Thomas on any of this stuff. He welcomes the challenge, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
We'll move on. So next we're heading to South Africa. This is for the beer brand Castle Milk Stout, and the spot is called African Time, and the ad, as you will see, tackles a stereotype, and it comes from the agency Joe Public. So let's take a look at this one.
There's that thing people say, African time.
What? Always being late?
Not late. Just not rushed.
Okay.
You see, they lied to us. They told us that time belongs to the clock. That it is something to measure, chase, conquer. And somewhere along the way, we believed them. Don't fall behind. Next thing, next place. But then, most of it just passes. It's like it never held still. But African time is different. It's about moments. Not minutes, sharing time, not keeping it. African time is about much more than being on time. It's about being present.
Like now.
Yeah. Exactly like now.
All right, Thomas, this is a beer ad. We don't see much of the beer in the ad, but certainly a strong point of view. What's your take?
I really like this one. You know, beer is just such a competitive category overall, and I think for them to go head on and challenge the stereotype that I think a lot of people unfortunately hold. I mean, I'm from Denmark, as some of the viewers might know. We're so obsessed with time, so I'd have to call people if I'm 5 minutes late. If you have a government appointment, I might have a government appointment 7 minutes past 1, which makes absolutely no sense. So suddenly to reframe the concept of time and understanding that if you come into a culture, and I've spent significant time in South Africa where this beer ad is from, you can see it as a negative, right? You can ridicule it, you can stereotype it culturally, etc. But turning it on its head and actually talking about how valuable that is, this precious, this moment, this ability to being present. So for me, I think this is actually the first ad I've seen from the brand on this platform, and I think now they just started, but it has a little bit of that the weight to it that Guinness had back in the days. You know, this ability to. I mean, I'm always excited to see the number 2. If they can do an exciting number 2 on this one, I think they're onto something that people will love about the stout. So very, very exciting, and also just because time is such a fundamental thing. When we talk about purpose, I mean, Patek Philippe is one of the other ones, like where you just sort of pass it on to the next generation. So there's so much that can be played around. So I think it's quite a lovely purpose platform. It seems grounded, and it seems like it's speaking truth to the product.
Yeah, what I liked about it too is it really fits the category. That because when you're having a beer, you are slowing down time. You're talking, you're enjoying yourself. So I don't think this would have worked well, right, if it was from something else, other category, right? It would have seemed forced, but this seemed really natural to me, and I actually hope that some of the U.S. beer brands are sort of watching this, because I think there could be some lessons here for marketing. I think this would, in my opinion, do well in the U.S. too, or we're similar to where you live, right?
Yeah.
We're all like, especially now, I mean, just everyone's just so pressed for time, it feels like.
And exciting, and what's exciting about it as well is, like, a lot of beers always lean into sort of friendship, togetherness, and fun. This had quite a sort of seriousness to it, that pause, that reflection, and when purpose works really well, it breaks the category. It creates this pause, and I think that's when it works well. It's that emotional connection with the brand, and I mean, I've saw it a couple of times before the show, and it creates some sort of emotional response each and every time I watch it. So I like it.
All right, we could talk more about that, but we got to move on. The next one is
no time for it. I have no time for it.
It's totally violated everything. We just thanks for calling me out. So let's take this one is another outdoor effort. It comes from Polaroid, which has been running advertising around the joys of being offline, and this effort, which we'll show on the screen, takes on the environmental damage caused by data centers with a billboard. The one we're looking at here, I believe, was put in New York's Coney Island beach, and it reads, if you can't see it, it reads, "Go jump in some water before the data centers drink it all up." And the brand fit here, or connection, is that, as you can see, this campaign uses simple Polaroid snapshots as the image. Fire away, Thomas. Good or bad?
First up, there's something interesting about sort of how do you make Polaroid reconnect with an audience that is just so accustomed to anything digital. So there's something about Polaroid taking more of an analog point of view. And interesting enough, as we just saw the Claude ad that had all these beautiful still images, etc. There's something that visually breaks that up. But what sort of I didn't like about it, I like that they have a point of view about this. There's just a sustainability point that I have a harder time understanding because, and obviously I'm not always the expert here, so I'm really curious to hear what you guys are thinking. I just have a hard time buying into the premise that a digital photo would use more water than a real Polaroid photo. If you look at the lifetime of it, like all the chemicals that goes into producing all of this like physical little things. So maybe, yeah, if you hold on to it for maybe 50 years, fine. But so there's a thing that I just don't think add up if you took the life cycle assessment view on this, which is a problem when you talk about sustainability issues, and especially when you sort of criticize someone else. I hope they have their house in order. I'm just raising that point right now. So I like that point of view. I'm a little bit critical if they can actually live up to it themselves on a life cycle assessment part.
I'm curious, this
so maybe
is...
there's some clever listeners out there.
This has been, I'd say, a newer environmental issue, right? This popped up, I'd say, in the last year, gotten much more attention, the data center issue, right? Have you seen a lot of brands getting into this conversation, or has this been far and few between so far?
I think there's one of see a lot of brands talking about this all. If I've seen something, it's more on the non-profit side of things.
I'm having a few technical problems on my end, so I think you're frozen. I don't know if our audience is experiencing that too. So, okay, you're back now, sorry. Do you want to repeat what you said? All right, we're going to take just a quick few second break while we get Thomas back on screen and hopefully with a better connection.
Exactly. Don't criticize data centers. That's the
Somebody
learning.
was listening. Somebody was listening.
Lesson learned. Don't criticize data centers. So, anyways, I just said no. I haven't seen a lot of brands talk about this. It's typically built in the nonprofit industry that's been talking about this.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on before they cut you off entirely. We're going to move on to the next work. It comes from Women's Aid, which is a UK charity that works to end domestic abuse against women and children. This effort is called The Other Kickoff, and it sought to leverage the attention around people in England asking when England's first World Cup match began, which I think was actually at 9 o'clock. But this outdoor effort spotlighted the time 11:37 p.m., as you can see on the screen. And the significance of that time, according to the organization, is that research shows that domestic abuse incidents rise around major football tournaments, increasing 38% even when England loses. And in press materials around this campaign, the organization made clear, quote, that while football itself does not directly cause domestic abuse, heightened emotions and alcohol consumption can exacerbate abuse where it already exists. And the creative agency behind this one is Elvis. So that's a large setup for this one, Thomas, but how did it translate for you?
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what all of you in the audience thinks about this one. I mean, maybe I'm just a little bit harsh, but I think it's kind of another quite useless ad, to be honest. I don't think it's going to drive much change for two reasons. First of all, using World Cup, it's just such a crowded space. There's people who are pouring, millions, billions into this. And I think at this point, we are all sort of a little bit fed up with any kind of brand just trying to kind of use this opportunity to create advertising around it. So I think that's my first point. My second point, which is probably even more important, is, again, what are we trying to achieve here? let's just, men, women, both can be violent. I'm being wind up, I vouch it for Norway against England. I'm going to be honest about that. Norway loses. Am I going to be so bad-tempered and think, oh, I'm gonna beat up my loved one? But then, wait a moment, I saw this ad. I think I'm just gonna pause. And that's my problem. It's not really gonna do much. So who are you actually advertising to? What is Women's Aid trying to achieve with this ad? And it's a shame, because I do think, yes, there is an insight around all of this stuff, mixing alcohol with the emotions around a game, your favorite team losing, for sure. But rather maybe give men or women some tools to deal with this stuff, I think would be much more helpful. So I'd say two things that I have a hard time recognizing in this campaign to be effective.
Also, just tactically, and maybe I missed it, but what I saw was described as an outdoor campaign. When I first saw this, though, I thought it was more like around SEO kind of thing, right? So, because you're searching for what time does the game start, and maybe they had that in there that I just I'm not aware of, but because obviously that's a huge search. What time's the game? And maybe they were trying to serve ads that way, which I'm not sure it's the right context even then. But I just wanted to point that out as well.
Yeah, maybe some of our British viewers can enlighten us a little bit if they've seen this and if they felt that worked.
Just remind folks to comment if you can. We'd love to hear from you. We did get something from Regis. This is back to Polaroid. He said, have to be so careful when you start criticizing anything in an ad campaign. But I don't think that's a fear you have, Thomas.
No, The thing about these, it's marketing is from us, sustainability is from Venus. These can seem like two different disciplines. I think the world of marketing is about telling great stories that move people. I think the problem is, though, it needs to be also real. So in the world of sustainability, we also need to make sure that we fact check. I hate the word fact check. It's been hijacked for many unfortunate reasons. But we need to double check that what we're actually putting out there in the ads are true. And so I'm raising a question. I don't know, with the limited knowledge I have of LCA with a printed photography versus data centers, I just have a hard time seeing that the data center would be using more ads storing one image. So that's the criticism there. But thank you for raising that.
Vanessa also weighs in on Polaroid. She says it's good to have a point of view, which is sometimes to name the enemy, and sometimes the enemy is data centers. So I think she's suggesting it's used as a foil, right, in the ad.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I think the point of view is interesting. Like when you have a product that's so analog, I think this is an interesting opponent. There's an interesting conversation you can have. So I would love to see more from Polaroid around this sort of topic, because there is a lot of things around digitalization where we probably should be reminded of that there are better, more analog ways to connect, to do things. So well done on that.
All right, we'll move on to our final ad, and we can still go back to the other ones if folks want to comment some more. For sure, we welcome it. But this is, Father's Day was a few weeks ago. So this, we're going to look at a Father's Day ad, and it comes from the Indian logistics company DTDC. And this spot, as you will see, positions a delivery driver as a superhero. Let's watch.
Next. Silence, everyone. Silence.
मेरा फेवरेट सुपर हीरो दुनिया के सबसे पावरफुल सुपर हीरो है। वो रोज अपना सुपर हीरो कॉस्ट्यूम पहनकर माउंटेन, रिवर, रेनबो पे व्रूम व्रूम करके न्यू मिशन पर पहुंच जाता है। सबसे ज्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग भी और सुपर फास्ट भी। कुछ भी आ जाए ना, वो कभी नहीं डरता। एक दिन में बहुत सारे मिशंस कंप्लीट कर लेता है। और एक सीक्रेट बताऊं, अरे रुक तो गया, बता ना। उसके पास ना एक मैजिक बैग है जिससे वो सबको हैप्पी हैप्पी कर देता है, और सबसे ज्यादा वो मुझे हैप्पी करता है, इसलिए वो मेरा फेवरेट सुपर हीरो है। पापा,
ट्रॉफी,
फर्स्ट प्राइज मिला मुझे।
फर्स्ट प्राइज?
देखो।
कौन से टॉपिक पे स्पीच दिया फिर?
मेरा फेवरेट सुपर हीरो।
सुपर हीरो?
अरे पापा, अब लेट नहीं हो रहा आपको? Not all superheroes wear capes. Some carry a bag full of smiles. To the superheroes who show up every single day, Happy Father's Day.
All right, Thomas, how did that one fare for you?
I'm getting soft, EJ. You know, it's Father's Day, and I'm sure there's a lot of people not going to agree with me on this one. I know it's generic, that we've heard the story a million times before. Yet, though, yeah, we know a delivery guy is somebody's dad. And there's something about that story that sort of connected with me, even like it's an irritating ripoff of Santa Claus or something. But it kind of gives me a good feeling. And I think sometimes we also just got to admit that for a delivery brand to go out on Father's Day and do something like that, they're not overstating too much. And I think they're paying a little bit of respect to the drivers who are working so hard for them. So I think it is one of those moments where you as a brand can probably step back a little bit and be a little bit soft, and that's okay. I don't know DC too well, so if they do treat the drivers well and all that stuff, so let's not, but I think it works for the brand on this specific day. They have the excuse to talk about it. I was probably feeling a little bit soft that day, but so it connected with me. And I think, is it great? Maybe not, but it's good enough. And for Father's Day, well done.
Yeah, it does it speaks to the dignity of work, right? Which I think we could have, which is a good thing right now, right? I think that we could have some more conversation around that.
Yeah, I think we used to have a lot around sort of COVID and first responders, all these things. And, I think it's always good to sort of look at the human behind the uniform. And I think especially in a job that is so difficult and with heat waves and with all these things happening. So as a delivery company, to pay a little respect to the workers on this specific day, I think it paints the brand in a good way. Whereas if they did a long-running campaign around this, would it be genuine? Would it be authentic? Harder to say. I don't know the specific brand here, but at least I think this is one of the days where you can show up and you can pay a little bit back to the people who work hard for you.
A small thing too. I liked how in the end they really kind of froze on the moment for a while when he's staring at the picture. Like that was effective for me. It wasn't just kind of stood still for a little bit. Which was nice.
Yeah, and the little joke at the end, Dad, aren't you late for work? They've got those small, cute things. EJ, maybe we're just getting old. I don't know. I don't know what the audience is thinking about this. So let us know your criticism. I'm usually cynical but yeah.
All right, we can. Unless anyone else has any comments coming in, we're to the end of the show. Again, Thomas, want to thank you. Another interesting batch of ads. I like seeing them from all over the world, which I think one of the things I enjoy about doing this, because a lot of times here in America we're stuck in our little bubble, so it's nice to see work from other countries. So thank you again, Thomas. Thanks to our viewing audience. And just a reminder, we will post all these ads with some of Thomas's commentary on adage.com in the coming days. So if you want to take a closer look and review again what he said, you can find it there. And we'll be back with another episode in a few weeks. Catch you next time.